Hello YouTube. Today's video is going to be tips on how you can be the best artist that you can be. Now these are just some tips I've picked up along my journey as an artist, and they might not all be for you, but that's okay. Everybody has a different style of drawing. So, without further ado, tip number 1 is to draw all the time. Don't stop drawing because it really helps you to improve if you can manage to draw like at least once a day, even if it's a doodle. Practice makes perfect, as they say, and it does. Now, nothing is ever perfect, granted, but you're never going to improve if you just sit there, you know? So if art is really something that you want to get into, then definitely try to draw every chance you get. So, tip number 2 is don't quit. Now that seems pretty self-explanatory, like if you stop drawing, then you're not gonna be good at it. Even if you were good at it to begin with, like, you're gonna lose your knowledge of these subjects. And that's another thing though, like, if you do quit at a point in your life, but you want to start back up, then it is perfectly acceptable to just do it. But you gotta do it. And then once you do start back up, then really try not to quit. So, tip number 3 is never, ever leave a piece unfinished. Now, that's something I had to learn the hard way. Because, like, something you think is bad at the time, it really might be good. It's a mood-based thing, really. Like, for example, I once drew this picture that I believed at that time to be very ugly. So I, being my crazy self, put a giant slash through it. And the slash was so, like, deep into the art that I couldn't really fix it. But the next day when I went back and looked on it, I immediately regretted having destroyed that piece because it was actually good, and I knew that I could have fixed it if I had just allowed myself to do that. As another example, a more positive one, I've also drew a picture I thought was very ugly, and then I didn't. I'm just like, you know what, Brittany? Just give it a couple days, and I'll go back on it. And that's what I did, and I actually was able to make the piece really good. Like, it was one of my favorite pieces, and I'm very thankful that I didn't just anger, rage, destroyed the thing, you know? So that, make sure you just never leave a piece unfinished. Finish it, and then if you hate it, you can throw it away. It's like, but just make sure that you allow yourself to take a break if it is becoming stressful, and to go back on it and improve it if at all possible, which usually is possible. So, tip number 4 is to be wise in your practice. Like, if art is something that you are sure you want to do, either as a hobby or as a job or anything like that, it helps a lot if you know what you're doing and what you're using. And no, I don't mean like the simple things like a pencil or an eraser, but I mean like the brands, like what brands you're good at using, because, like, for example, I'm better with using a mechanical pencil rather than a normal pencil. That's just me, though. I also prefer the thicker, more textured pieces of paper rather than printer paper like I'm using right now. Also, you have to be, like, open to the different ways of art, that, since there are so many different ways of art out there. Like, for example, when you're talking about painting, for example, there are so many different ways that you can paint a picture. You can paint it through spray paint, you can paint it through acrylic or oil paints, or hydro dip, or whatever. So, really, you have to, like, practice everything. Because the more you know about, like, the different styles and everything, it really does help you in your journey with art to be better with it, and to be able to make different works than what you normally might. So, tip number 5 is to give yourself pros and cons on your work as well as other people's work. Like, right now, for example, as I'm drawing, I might give myself some pros and cons to what I'm drawing to help me improve the drawing as I go. Like, oh, I really like the eyes of this piece, but I'm not so into the nose because it might need, like, a little fixing up here and there. This might be a little too deep right there, just erase it. And add a little loop right there. Just stuff like that. But, like, oh, you like the eyes, so you keep the eyes how they are. And just being able to give yourself tips, and to be able to give yourself good tips and bad, it really helps. And lots of artists out there tend to, like, hate on their own work. And if you can both hate to help improve, as well as show yourself some love, I guess you could say. Like, it's okay that maybe this one piece of your art doesn't look too good, as long as this other piece does. So you just have to be able to be positive, as well as be able to take your own criticism as well as others. And that's another thing. When you're looking at magnificent pieces of work, I almost said pizza, it might help you to notice the good and the bad, so that you can see that even great artists have their struggles, but even great artwork has its negatives as well as its positives. So just make sure that you understand that not every piece is ever going to be perfect, and that's okay. Like, art isn't meant to be perfect. It's meant to be beautiful and great, and sometimes it's even meant to not be beautiful. But it's supposed to inspire a feeling in you, and that's definitely something that you should focus on in your work. Like, what do I want my piece of art to make people feel? So, on to my last tip for today, is let yourself be inspired and spontaneous. Like, for example, if you're having, like, some writer's block, or not writers, excuse me, if you're having some artist block, And, you don't know what to draw, and it's just a real bother for you to even think of something to draw. It's okay to just go outside, go wherever, and draw the first thing that you see. Because really letting yourself draw things that you might not normally draw really, helps you to improve as an artist and to be able to have more practice under your belt, even if it's something that normally you wouldn't draw or don't want to draw. Also, with the spontaneous, is if you're drawing, for example, a cat or a dog or something, or even a person, it's okay to be in the middle of drawing and want to draw something, want to develop your work into something other than what you started with. So I might be drawing this lady, but if I really got into the mood as I was drawing her and thought, oh, well, this lady would actually look really good as for a mermaid, or a cat lady, or a man, I don't know, then it's okay to change your work as you're going and to make your work spontaneous. In fact, that's probably where a lot of the best artwork can come from, is just letting your imagination take over and lead your work somewhere that maybe you didn't expect it to go, but that's okay. It's always okay to let yourself just be open to new possibilities in your art, as well as to be able to draw something that's not open and closed-minded, I guess you could say, and just draw something real. Just let yourself be able to draw everything and anything, because the more that you practice, really, the better that you're going to be. So, those are all the tips that I have today. And if you'd like more tips, or if you'd like to watch me draw something else, then please comment below and let me know what you think. And thank you guys so much for watching. And please subscribe to my channel, it really helps. And I thank you so much. I love you guys. Bye.